Today, we are announcing an agreement that we have reached between New South Wales and the Commonwealth, which is about getting electricity prices down, getting emissions down, getting more power into the system, and getting the gas to make that happen. I said that earlier this week, that this was important as a transition fuel to support our longer range future planning to ensure the health and strength of the Australian economy and to ensure that we meet the targets and beat the targets that we have set for emissions reduction. Working with the states is absolutely critical to that process, and this partnership provides for that. The MOU that we have signed just this morning is a strong step forward on all of these priorities. It unlocks new gas, with the New South Wales Government setting a target of injecting 70 petajoules a year of new gas into the market. Now, to put that in context, New South Wales annual gas consumption is around 120 petajoules a year. So this is a significant and forward-looking commitment by the New South Wales Government that we welcome. This puts downward pressure on prices, supports manufacturing jobs, and backs up our record investment in renewables as we undergo a responsible energy transition. The MOU commits both governments to do even more to encourage investment in reliable energy generation and transmission, I should stress, and transmission. This will help stabilise the grid, increase competition and reduce the risk of blackouts. The MOU sets out an ambitious technology-focused plan of practical action to reduce emissions, including $2 billion of co-investment in clean technology, hydrogen research, development and commercialisation, energy efficiency to reduce your power bills and reduce emissions, and coal innovation to commercialise and employ technologies to reduce emissions from extraction, preparation and the use of coal, and primary industry's productivity and abatement to support farmers and landowners to commercialise low emissions technology and participate in carbon offset programs. So this is a forward-looking leadership agreement between the New South Wales State Government and the Commonwealth Government, which is about getting prices down, getting emissions down, meeting and beating our targets, and ensuring that Australians can go about their jobs, the jobs they have today, and the jobs they're going to continue to have in the future as a result of the agreements we've been able to reach here practically. And I thank you, Gladys, for the great leadership you've shown on this issue, and appreciate your strong cooperation.
Thank you, Prime Minister. New South Wales is extremely pleased with this MOU that we've signed today, because for our citizens it does mean both the federal and state governments are working together to reduce bills, to reduce emissions, but also to secure our energy into the future. Three critical things which are vital to the future of our state and our nation. And I'm thrilled to be able to sign that on behalf of our citizens, because we are in New South Wales already engaging in many strategies to reduce our emissions, to invest in renewables, and of course, most importantly, to secure our energy. And that means having a very clear plan for the future. And what this arrangement has allowed both of us to do is come to the table and really sort out what we need to do, not just in the next 2 years or 3 years, but the next decade and beyond. And that's why I'm so pleased with the arrangement, because our citizens can be assured that we have a clear plan for the future, a clear plan which I believe satisfies the vast majority of our citizens in relation to not just securing our energy and reducing bills, but also in reducing our emissions, which we know many people feel strongly about. So thank you, Prime Minister, for your support. And $2 billion deal is nothing to sniff at. So the state government's putting in $1 billion. The federal government is coming to the table as well and supporting us in our initiatives and encouraging us to go down that path. And we also took up the challenge the PM gave us in relation to gas. We look forward to meeting those arrangements that are currently part of the deal. So thank you.
Thank you. Gladys, questions?
Prime Minister,
John.
Can you give us an idea of the possible extent of the reduction in bills and in emissions as a result of this deal?
What I can tell you is electricity prices are down 3.5% in the past year because of the work we've already been doing. And what we're looking forward to is seeing further reductions in electricity prices. You'd know, John, that this is not a precise science, but what I do know is this. You get more gas into the system, it drives down prices. That's what happens. And this is about working together to drive down prices, working together to reduce emissions, working together to get the gas.
So is your expectation that we'll see, for instance, exploration bans go in New South Wales as a result of this deal?
Well, what the states ultimately decide to do, there are a range of projects, there's import terminal projects, there's different ways that the state government can achieve this. What's important is 70 petajoules of gas is on its way. I said on Wednesday we've got to get the gas, and we've been working so well together with New South Wales, working through those issues for them to be in a position where they've made this great commitment today. I'd like to see other state governments make similar commitments, and I'm happy to work with them to achieve it. We've got to get the gas, because that's what gets prices down.
How will carbon emissions be reduced under this plan?
We're going to meet and beat our 2030 targets. That's what we're going to do. We've already been able to reduce our emissions since 2005 by 12.8%. That's just a click short of what the United States has achieved over that period of time, but it's better than what most other countries have achieved. And so we're just going to keep meeting and beating our targets. And how do I know we're going to do that? Because we do deals like this. I mean, everyone said we weren't going to meet the Kyoto targets. That's never going to happen. Can't be achieved. And we're beating them by 411 million tonnes. And we're going to meet and beat Paris too.
Prime Minister, does this agreement mean that the Commonwealth has effectively agreed to underwrite the renewable energy zone in the state's Central West? And if so, does this represent an acceptance from the Commonwealth that renewable energy is a key part of Australia's energy future?
We always have. That's never been in dispute, and I'll tell you why. Because we lead the world in renewable energy investment. I mean, 1 in 5 Australian households has panels on their roof. Very few of it. I don't think any country can claim that. So the suggestion that you're making that Australia and our government doesn't embrace that is just completely wrong.
How would increasing coal supply to Mount Piper, as it still suggests, help to reduce carbon emissions?
Well, you might want to speak to that, Gladys. I'm happy to comment on it.
Sure. We need to make sure that we maintain our energy security into the future, and lowering emissions doesn't mean getting rid of every form of energy that we currently use. And
Correct.
it's important for us to have a stable future. Unfortunately, other states move too quickly and have had to load shed. And New South Wales hasn't had to have that challenge, because we've made sure that we have a very smooth transition to other options in terms of our energy supply. And gas is critical to that future, both in increasing supply and lowering prices, but also if you do want to use more renewables, you need more gas, because when you're moving from peak to off-peak, you actually need gas to facilitate that. So this plan makes perfect sense to us. It's a good balance, and Mount Piper will be in operation till at least 2042. So, and we rely on that as a critical energy source. But it also means that we can expand our renewable platform, expand our gas supply, reduce emissions, reduce household bills. And so I'm really pleased with what we've got today.
Can you commit to getting rid of gas exploration bans in order to find this 70 petajoules?
Well, we don't need to change our policy position at all. So we already have a number of projects in the pipeline which we're hoping will satisfy these arrangements. Of course, we'll meet our end of the bargain, but we're confident that there's sufficient projects in the pipeline that will satisfy that.
Can you nominate some of those projects?
Well, obviously the government's in the final stages of considering a Narrabri gas proposal, and that will meet these targets. Yeah.
So this deal is about the Commonwealth underwriting the renewable energy zone in the state's Central West.
What it is a series of investments that the Commonwealth and the states are making together. Now we're doing it through ARENA, we're doing it through the Climate Solutions Fund, we're doing it through the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, we're doing it with the Grid Stability Fund. We are doing it through all of these areas. And they are all existing policy areas where we will continue to extend that support through those channels into these projects. I said on Wednesday that our government, when it comes to reducing emissions, is about technology, not taxation. I don't think Australians should be taxed more to reduce their emissions. And I know they don't have to be taxed more to reduce their emissions. They don't have to be punished to reduce their emissions. Australians need to have available to them, Australians should have available to them, and Australian industry have available to them the technologies that enables them to move forward into the future and keep jobs here, and get prices down.
But part of that $2
John?
billion is the underwriting of that renewable energy.
The details of those funds have not changed. They're the same.
You previously set a goal with Angus Taylor reducing wholesale electricity prices by 25% by 2022. To what extent does this deal and others like it make it more likely that that'll be achieved?
Well, of course it does, because it means more gas. It's the law of supply and demand.
Premier, coal seam gas has been quite a politically charged issue in New South Wales. What are your Nationals partners and some of your backbenchers? Are they going to have concerns about this if it means more coal seam gas extraction?
Well, it doesn't. We don't need to change any of our policy positions on that front. That's the beauty of these arrangements. We have 2 or 3 options before us, including terminals, import terminals at Port Kembla and potentially Newcastle, in addition to the Narrabri project. One of those 3 things will satisfy our arrangements. So the beauty of this deal for New South Wales is we don't need to change our policy position. We can give confidence to our citizens that we'll maintain every policy position that we've announced, but we'll also meet our commitments, because it is important for us to pull our weight when it comes to energy, especially in relation to gas, and that's why these arrangements are really good for our citizens.
There are concerns that Narrabri, Santos have said it's going to produce this 70 petajoules, which coincides with this particular plan. Is that not the easiest course of action then? Is that something
Look,
that is a done deal?
It may very well be, but we have to go through the last stages of the planning process. And so if that project is successful, we've met our arrangements. If not, we have other options through Port Kembla and Newcastle without imposing any additional policy paradigms on our citizens.
When will that process be finalised?
Well, we've always said in the first half of this year is what we anticipate, so we're hoping in the next couple of months.
Berejiklian, can you explain specifically what you're going to do in terms of the coal supply to Mount Piper?
Well, obviously we have arrangements in place. Part of this arrangement means we have to maintain that production, that supply till 2042, and there are a number of options before us. So we'll provide more information on that in due course.
Is it having trouble getting coal right now?
Well, look, that's part of the challenge that we have. We have to make sure that we source our coal. We need to make sure that we do supply for that coal that station. But we should also have in mind that other power stations will be coming to the end of life in the next little while. So then there are opportunities for us to transfer those arrangements to Mount Piper.
Prime Minister, does this mean you're saying you're hopeful of signing similar deals with other states and territories? Is this your way of getting around having to introduce a national energy guarantee?
We already have established the National Reliability Guarantee. That was already achieved together with the states through the COAG process. And with each and every state, we'll sit down and put the best arrangements we can in place. And I think the agreement that New South Wales and the Commonwealth have reached today sets a great bar, a great standard for how these things should go. And I really appreciate the work that's been done with New South Wales and by our ministers in supporting that along the way. But this is an arrangement that the Premier and I have signed because it's important to New South Wales. It's important to the Commonwealth that we get these arrangements in place. This is the practical stuff. This is the practical stuff. You want to get emissions down, you've got to get the gas. You want to get emissions down, you've got to invest in the technology. That's what actually changes things. That's what actually delivers climate action. It's this stuff that gets this done. Thank you very much, everyone. Ta. Very briefly, because I have to get to Canberra for NSC.
So why are we charging people who are going to be evacuated from Wuhan $1,000 when in previous instances, both with the Arab Spring and in the Lebanon situation, there was no charge from the
That's not true. They were charged on those arrangements. These are the standard arrangements that are put in place by DFAT for assisted departures. As I said on the day when I announced it, I said it's done on the normal arrangements, and the United States applied the same arrangements for their consular and families who were assisted with their departures recently. We're continuing to work through those arrangements right now. There has been very strong interest in participating in these arrangements, but we still have a bit more work to do, but we're making very good progress.
Are you closer to knowing when that plane will be able to get in there?
Yes.
Oh, where?
I said we're getting closer to knowing that.
Anastasia Palaszczuk has been highly critical of your response, saying she's frustrated at the lack of information coming from your government. She wants you to have a meeting with the Premier so they've got the most up-to-date information. What's your response to that?
The Chief Medical Officer, the State Health Minister, are in constant contact on this issue. There would not be an issue that the Commonwealth knows that the Queensland Government does not know.
Have you received the Gaten report, and if so, what were the findings?
No, I haven't.
Thanks, everybody.